Hey folks, and welcome to the Pipnotic Symposium. Today is the 8th of December 2023. Alright, so today we're going to talk about the histogram. This is something that has come in per request by quite a few people, so I just want to run over some of the updates, which you won't even notice on the interface. I just want to talk a little bit about the ideas behind the histogram. So the histogram, for those of you who are not necessarily aware of what it is simply a tool that I use to help me assess the state of a cycle. It's based on price data, time series price data, and it's looking at the expansion and contraction of asset prices. And you'll notice that if you look at it and you connect the tops and the bottoms of these, it'll often align pretty nicely to where about here maybe. You go down, it goes down to here, then we go up. It tells you pretty much where we are relative to these big cycles. And the reason that this is interesting is because by the time the histogram starts to move, you'll notice that prices will follow. And the reason this is interesting is because once prices do indeed begin to wriggle higher or lower, we didn't really get anything there, you'll notice that they don't turn back until they have completed their cycle. And this is, I think, pretty common behavior. Let's just make sure that these are overlapping nicely. And the reason this is interesting is because it enables us to pinpoint, or rather not pinpoint, but have an understanding of where these cycles are turning and where they are most likely to go. Okay, and so when we have a bear cycle, that has come to, one of these lines is crooked, has come to completion, we know that there's a pretty good indication that it's going to keep moving. Okay, I don't know how much that helped. It just confused things a little bit, but you can see here that once we started to form this top and begin to move lower, I mean, prices keep going until we do something else. We reach this bottom. Okay, and this bottom can look like many things. It can go like this, which is what we like to see, something like this, but they don't always look like that. Sometimes they look like this, where we have a cycle that goes like that, then it goes like that, then it goes like this, and so on and so forth. Sometimes they don't complete exactly how we want them to. Nonetheless, the fact that the histogram is rolling over gives us a really good indication of where its prices are most likely to go next. And so when we start to do this, okay, when we start to kind of print these lower levels here, prices normally keep going. Okay, especially if we are up around this dotted white line, and this dotted white line is kind of a threshold that presents a very high likelihood that prices will turn away from that area, and you can see that happening a lot. You can see if we just align these, this is probably a better tool. This one got pretty close right there. This one got pretty close here. Right here, so you can see once they do reach these areas, they normally turn around, and then you'll typically see significant moves away. Okay, if they go above and they go, for example, beyond the green line, then the likelihood that prices come back is even greater. If they go below the red line, then the likelihood prices go up is also significant. Okay, and so what we want to do in a situation like this is we want to try and be mindful of where prices are relative to the cycle / the. All right, turn off messaging app. Then we know that we have a pretty good indication that price is going to wriggle lower or higher, depending on where we are, which cycle we are on. But you can see here, for example, it's pretty clear that the prices are going lower. And so, in a situation like that, I mean, I would be quite cautious buying here and here, even though they do turn, but I would be much more comfortable selling at sell zones like this here, okay, because the flows are moving lower for this particular price move. Okay, and then when things start to turn around and change for us, well, then we can pay attention to the moves higher. But something that's very interesting is focusing on prices now here. Just going to put a vertical line, focusing on where they are here. You can see they're here, and then going down to the smaller time frame and trying to find exactly where it is that prices are here. Okay, so you know that when prices are here, that we are certainly looking to move lower because we are in the sell zone on the daily chart. Okay, so that leads us to believe, maybe that's a bit of an overkill going to the 50-minute chart. Let's go to the 1-hour chart maybe. But we know that when we're here, the price is moving lower. I mean, there's a pretty high likelihood of this occurring. Okay, and so we would only take short signals here. Okay, we'd be selling here. We have demand, demand, demand. It's finally been removed by what? By this. And you would sell here. Okay, prices come up and test a few times, but we're not buying, we're waiting for prices to go lower. We have some resistance here. Tested, 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 removed by what? By this. Okay, so trying to get in here somewhere, and prices continue to move lower. Okay, so keep that in mind. Keep in mind the fact that on the daily chart, we are very tall, we're very premium. Okay, keep in mind that on the daily chart, we're also doing something like this. And then take this information with you down to the smaller time frames. May it be the 1 hour or the half an hour or whatever you fancy, and using this information to position ourselves. We know now that we have a negative bias and we're not going to be buying, because buying would be detrimental. Why? Because we just reached the end of a daily bullish cycle. We let that update, and the bullish cycle was from here. We have the bear cycle, bull cycle, bear cycle, bull cycle, bear cycle, bull, bear. Okay, and so aligning yourselves with this information is just a really good idea, because you then are trading in line with the major flows. And I think actually it would be quite helpful to have some kind of a dashboard that is showing you what's going on all the time frames at the same time. And for those of you who don't know, we already have one. We've got one right here. Okay, so we have exactly that, where we have a bunch of different assets. Let's see if we can put more on there, and then you can see the zones. And so only getting involved in assets that are either in the buy zone or the sell zone. And so the American dollar, Swiss franc, we are in a buy zone. Okay, so let's go back to the chart. American dollar, Swiss franc. American dollar, Swiss franc. So we are down low on the American dollar, Swiss franc. Okay, what does that mean? That means we're probably going to move higher. So let's go to the hourly chart and look for buys. And where do we have a buy? Well, we have a little zone here. We got something in here. We have a buy zone here. And so getting involved somewhere in here would not be a terribly bad idea. Because why? Because we have reached the end of a sell zone, a sell cycle on the daily chart. Let's let that update once more. Let me remove all of these. There we are. You can see here we're starting to turn up, and you can see that we're taking a breather from this. We've also started to do this, where we've had, okay, so we've had, this is so far respected. This one has been removed by this low. So when prices are down here, we were able to wriggle beyond here. Okay, and so now we're having like a complex pullback here. The expectation is that prices start to wriggle up to maybe around here. Okay, because this is like support becomes resistance. So this is an obvious place at the 50% retracement for the move down here. So this would be an obvious place for us to get out of a trade should we decide to buy somewhere down here. Okay, so it's a really interesting methodology, and it's quite simple. Don't overcomplicate it. So we go to the 30-minute chart, see if we can find any clearer signals here. I mean, this one's pretty clear right here, and the reason I prefer this one here instead of this one is because prices have already traded through here, and here we have a rejection. This is telling us, this is an arrow pointing below me. So we have buy zone, it gets a little bit lower, it gets a little bit lower, and so I think a very volatile jab down into here somewhere would be a very good opportunity to buy until we reach maybe these highs around here somewhere, okay, for the reasons that we just outlined. Okay, good. Well, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. If you have any questions, please let me know. There is another update to the buy and sell zones robot. There was a small issue with the trend filter, which has now been fixed. So if you've grabbed it within the past week or so, then you should be in good shape. Otherwise, please update. Okay, thanks so much for watching.